Stop planning the same trip everyone else is taking. Stop following the Instagram crowds to Santorini, Bali, and Iceland. Take a chance on something different. Pick one of these 7 countries. Start researching. Look at photos. Read blogs. Watch videos. Check flight prices. You'll be surprised how accessible and affordable these destinations are. And when you go, you won't be just another tourist checking off famous landmarks. Forget Paris, Rome, and Bali. While everyone else is fighting through crowds at the Eiffel Tower or paying $50 for a mediocre pizza in Venice, there's a whole world of incredible countries that most travelers completely overlook. Countries with stunning landscapes, rich cultures, delicious food, and welcoming people, all without the tourist hordes and inflated prices. In 2025, it's time to stop following the crowd and start exploring the world's most underrated destinations. These hidden gem countries offer experiences that will blow your mind, adventures you'll never forget, and Instagram photos that'll make your friends ask, "Where on earth is that?" By the end of this video, you'll have 7 countries on your bucket list that you've probably never even considered visiting. And trust me, number 5 on this list is architecture so stunning it looks like something out of a fantasy movie. I'm your guide to the world's best hidden destinations. And over the next 30 minutes, we're going on a journey to 7 countries that deserve way more attention than they get. These aren't dangerous or difficult places to visit. They're safe, accessible, and affordable. They just happen to fly under the radar while everyone flocks to the same overcrowded hotspots. So grab your passport, open your mind, and let's discover the most underrated countries to visit in 2025. Before we dive into the list, let me explain why these countries are so special. The travel industry has conditioned us to think that the best destinations are the most famous ones. Spain, France, Italy, Thailand, Japan. And yes, those countries are incredible. But here's the problem. When 30 million tourists visit the same city every year, something gets lost. The authentic culture disappears. Prices skyrocket. Locals become tired of visitors. You spend more time in lines than actually experiencing anything. You're not really traveling anymore. You're just participating in mass tourism. The countries we're exploring today are different. These are places where tourism is welcome, but hasn't taken over. Where your money goes 2 or 3 times further. Where locals are genuinely excited to share their culture with you because you're not the millionth tourist they've dealt with that week. Where you can have incredible experiences without the crowds, the chaos, and the costs that come with famous destinations. These are countries on the verge of being discovered, which means right now, in 2025, you have a golden opportunity to visit before everyone else figures out how amazing they are. So let's start our journey in a country that most people can't even find on a map, but that offers some of the most beautiful coastline in all of Europe. Number 7 on our list is Albania. Yes, Albania. That small country on the Balkan Peninsula that you've probably never thought about visiting. And that's exactly why you should go. Albania has been Europe's best-kept secret for years, but 2025 is the year it's starting to get noticed. This country has everything. Stunning beaches along the Albanian Riviera that rival anything in Greece or Croatia. Ancient ruins and castles scattered throughout the countryside. Dramatic mountain ranges perfect for hiking. Vibrant cities with Ottoman and Communist-era architecture. And all of it costs a fraction of what you pay in Western Europe. Let's start with the beaches. The Albanian Riviera, stretching along the Ionian Sea, is absolutely spectacular. Towns like Saranda, Himara, and Dami have crystal-clear turquoise water, white pebble beaches, and dramatic cliffs dropping into the sea. The best part? These beaches aren't packed with tourists. You can actually find a spot to lay your towel without being sardined between other people. A beach lounger and umbrella costs around €5 for the entire day. Compare that to €30 in Mykonos or 40 in the French Riviera. One of the most stunning spots is Ksamil, often called the Albanian Caribbean. The water here is so clear and blue it doesn't look real. Small islands sit just offshore, close enough to swim to. Pine trees provide shade along the shore. And the whole area has this laid-back vibe that expensive Mediterranean destinations lost decades ago. You can rent a small boat for the day for around €30 and explore hidden coves and beaches that don't even have names. But Albania isn't just beaches. Head inland to Berat, known as the City of a Thousand Windows. This UNESCO World Heritage Site cascades down a hillside, with white Ottoman houses stacked on top of each other, their windows reflecting the sunlight. The Baroque castle, dating back to the 13th century, still has people living inside its walls. You can wander through the castle grounds, visit Byzantine churches with ancient frescoes, and enjoy panoramic views over the Arjun River Valley. Entry to the castle is free. That's right, free. Try finding that at any famous European castle. Then there's Gjirokastër, another UNESCO site, known as the Stone City. The old town is built entirely from stone, with distinctive tower houses that look like small fortresses. The Gjirokastër castle dominates the town from above. Inside the castle, you'll find a military museum and even a captured American spy plane from the Cold War era. The bazaar below the castle is full of artisans selling traditional crafts, and unlike tourist bazaars in famous cities, the vendors here are genuinely friendly because they're not exhausted from dealing with thousands of tourists every day. The capital, Tirana, surprises everyone who visits. The buildings are painted in bright, bold colors, a deliberate choice by the mayor in the early 2000s to combat the city's communist-era greyness. Skanderbeg Square, the main plaza, is massive and modern. The Pyramid of Tirana, a brutalist structure from the communist era, has been transformed into a cultural center where you can actually climb to the top. The Bunkart museums, built in massive Cold War-era bunkers, provide fascinating insights into Albania's communist past. And the nightlife and restaurants seen in the Bloku district is vibrant, with outdoor cafes, trendy bars, and clubs that stay open until dawn. Let's talk about cost, because this is where Albania really shines. A nice 3-course dinner with wine costs around €15 per person. A comfortable hotel room in Tirana or along the coast runs €30 to €50. A coffee is €1. A beer is $1.50. You can take a bus from Tirana to the beaches for about €10. Car rentals start at €20 per day. Your money simply goes so much further here than anywhere in Western Europe. The Albanian people are incredibly welcoming. Albania has a tradition called Besa, which means keeping the promise and essentially translates to sacred hospitality. Locals will go out of their way to help visitors, often inviting you for coffee or rocky, the local spirit. English is widely spoken, especially among younger people. The country is safe, with low crime rates. And getting there is easy, with Tirana International Airport well connected to European cities. The food deserves special mention. Albanian cuisine blends Mediterranean, Turkish, and Balkan influences. Fresh seafood along the coast is incredible and cheap. Try vukosi, a lamb and yogurt casserole that's the national dish. Sample bajrik, flaky pastry filled with cheese, meat, or vegetables. Taste fresh olives and olive oil, tomatoes, and peppers that actually have flavor because they're grown locally and picked ripe. Albanians take their coffee seriously, with Italian-style espresso culture everywhere. And the local wine, especially from regions like Berat and Permit, is surprisingly excellent. Albania in 2025 is at that perfect sweet spot. Infrastructure has improved dramatically over the past decade. Hotels, restaurants, and roads are good quality. But mass tourism hasn't arrived yet. You're visiting before it gets discovered, before prices triple, before the beaches get crowded, before it becomes just another Mykonos or Dubrovnik. This is your chance to experience authentic Albania before the secret gets out. Now let's travel east to the Caucasus region for number 6 on our list. A country where ancient history meets modern innovation, where stunning mountains tower over bustling cities, and where the food and wine culture will blow your mind. We're going to Georgia. And no, not the state in America. The country between Europe and Asia that's become one of the world's top destinations for digital nomads, adventure seekers, and culture lovers. Georgia is having a moment. Tbilisi, the capital, has been called the new Berlin by travel magazines. The country offers visa-free stays of up to a year for citizens of 98 countries. It's incredibly affordable. The landscapes range from Black Sea beaches to snow-capped mountains to ancient wine regions. And Georgian culture, with its unique language, alphabet, traditions, and cuisine, is unlike anywhere else on Earth. Let's start with Tbilisi because this city is absolutely captivating. Built along the Mtvori River and surrounded by hills, Tbilisi is a fascinating mix of old and new. The old town, with its narrow streets and wooden balconied houses, feels medieval. Norikala Fortress, dating back to the 4th century, overlooks the city. You can take a cable car up to the fortress for panoramic views of the city sprawling below, the river winding through, and the mountains in the distance. The ride costs less than €1. Below the fortress is the Abeno Tubani district, famous for its sulfur baths. These natural hot springs have been used since the city's founding. The bathhouses, with their distinctive domed architecture, offer traditional Georgian spa experiences. You can get a private bath and massage for around €20, a fraction of what you pay at any Western spa. The water, naturally heated and rich in minerals, is believed to have healing properties. After your bath, sip tea in one of the nearby cafes and watch local life unfold. Walk through the old town and you'll find the Sioni Cathedral, the Onkiskoti Basilica, which is Tbilisi's oldest church from the 6th century, and countless other churches and synagogues. Georgia is one of the world's oldest Christian nations, having adopted Christianity in 330 AD, and this heritage is visible everywhere. But Tbilisi isn't stuck in the past. Cross the Peace Bridge, a modern glass and steel pedestrian bridge lit up with thousands of LED lights at night, and you're in the right park area with contemporary architecture and public spaces. The Fabrika complex is Tbilisi's hipster heart. This former Soviet sewing factory has been converted into a hostel, co-working space, bars, cafes, and shops, all covered in street art. It's where digital nomads hang out, where you'll find the best coffee in the city, and where creative young Georgians are building businesses. The fact that this coexists with thousand-year-old churches just streets away perfectly captures Tbilisi's character. Rustaveli Avenue, the main boulevard, is lined with theaters, museums, and cafes. The Georgian National Museum has incredible archaeological collections, including ancient gold artifacts. The Opera and Ballet Theatre offers world-class performances for around €10. The nightlife scene has exploded in recent years, with clubs like Bassiani and Kiti attracting international DJs and gaining recognition as some of the best techno clubs in the world. Yes, Tbilisi has become a destination for electronic music, hosting festivals that draw crowds from across Europe. But Georgia is so much more than Tbilisi. Drive 2 hours north, and you're in Kazbegi, a mountain town in the Greater Caucasus Range. The Georgeti Trinity Church, perched on a hilltop with the snow-capped Mount Kozbek rising behind it, is one of the most photographed sites in the country. The hike up to the church takes about 2 hours through alpine meadows. In summer, wildflowers blanket the hillsides. In winter, everything is covered in snow. Either way, the views are breathtaking. The Kazbegi region is perfect for adventure travel. You can go hiking, horseback riding, paragliding, or mountain biking. The Trousseau Valley offers stunning landscapes with abandoned villages, mineral springs, and travertine formations. In winter, Gudori Ski Resort offers excellent skiing and snowboarding at prices far below European ski resorts. A day lift pass costs around €25 compared to 60 or 70 in the Alps. Then there's Svaneti, a remote mountain region in northwestern Georgia that feels like stepping back in time. The region is famous for its medieval defensive towers that dot the landscape. Villages like Mestia and Ashguli, which is one of the highest permanently inhabited settlements in Europe, are surrounded by mountains and glaciers. The hiking here is world-class. The trails take you through forests, past waterfalls, up to glaciers, and through villages where life hasn't changed much in centuries. The people of Svaneti have their own distinct culture, language, and traditions that differ from the rest of Georgia. Georgia is also the birthplace of wine. Archaeological evidence shows that Georgians have been making wine for over 8,000 years, making it the oldest wine-producing region on Earth. The traditional method, fermenting grapes in large clay vessels called kvavery buried underground, is a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. The Kakheti region in eastern Georgia is wine country, with vineyards stretching across rolling hills. You can visit family-run wineries where the winemaker will sit with you for hours, pouring endless glasses of wine, sharing food, and telling stories. Wine tour including transportation and multiple winery visits cost around €40 for the entire day. Georgian wine is unique. They produce wines from great varieties you've never heard of like Saperavi and Rakatsateli. The orange wines, made by fermenting white grapes with their skins, have gained international recognition. Wine here isn't pretentious or expensive. It's part of daily life, shared with friends and family at every meal. Georgians have a tradition called supra, a feast with toast led by a tomato or toastmaster. If you're lucky enough to be invited to a supra, prepare for hours of eating, drinking, and toasting to everything from health to friendship to your ancestors. And speaking of food, Georgian cuisine is incredible. Kokopori, bread filled with cheese and topped with an egg and butter, is the ultimate comfort food. There are regional variations, with a Gerian kokopori shaped like a boat being the most photogenic. Kinkoli is soup dumplings filled with spiced meat and broth. You eat them by hand, carefully biting and slurping the broth first. Puri, Georgian bread baked in a traditional tone oven, emerges hard and crispy. Matsvodi is Georgian barbecue, chunks of meat grilled on skewers. And then there are dozens of salads, vegetable dishes, and sauces like kamali and ajika that add flavor to everything. A meal at a nice restaurant in Tbilisi costs around €15 per person, including wine. Street food like kokopori from a bakery costs €2. Accommodation is equally affordable. Nice hotels in Tbilisi cost €40 to €70. Guest houses in mountain regions cost €20 to €30 and usually include huge homemade meals. You can live comfortably in Georgia on €40 to €50 per day, including accommodation, food, and activities. This affordability combined with good internet and a welcoming visa policy has made Georgia a digital nomad hub. Tbilisi has co-working spaces, cafes with reliable Wi-Fi, and a growing expat community. The cost of living allows people to save money while experiencing a fascinating culture. And Georgians are incredibly hospitable. There's a saying in Georgia that a guest is a gift from God. People genuinely want to share their culture with visitors. Georgia in 2025 offers something rare, a country with incredible natural beauty, rich culture, delicious food, and affordability, all without being overrun by tourists. While everyone else is going to Iceland or New Zealand for mountains, or Italy and France for food and wine, Georgia offers all of that, and more for a fraction of the cost and without the crowds. Now let's head back to Europe for number 5, a small country that's often overlooked because it's sandwiched between Italy, Austria, and Croatia. But this tiny nation is one of the greenest, safest, and most beautiful countries in all of Europe. We're going to Slovenia, a country about half the size of Switzerland, but with just as much natural beauty and far fewer tourists. Slovenia is the ultimate eco-travel destination. Over half the country is covered in forests. It has the highest percentage of protected land in Europe. The capital, Ljubljana, was named European Green Capital. The country is committed to sustainable tourism, with many areas limiting development to preserve natural beauty. But Slovenia isn't just about nature. It has medieval castles, Venetian-influenced coastal towns, incredible cuisine, and some of the best wines you've never heard of. Let's start with the image everyone associates with Slovenia, Lake Bled. And yes, it really is as beautiful as the photos. This glacial lake in the Julian Alps has crystal clear turquoise water with a small island in the middle. On that island sits the Church of the Assumption with its distinctive red roof and bell tower. Surrounding the lake are forests and mountains, with Bled Castle perched dramatically on a cliff overlooking everything. The entire scene looks like a fairy tale illustration come to life. You can rent a traditional Pletna boat, rowed by a licensed oarsman, to reach the island. Once there, climb the 99 steps to the church. Local tradition says that grooms should carry their brides up these steps for good luck, ring the church bell and make a wish. Back on shore, walk the 6-kilometre path around the lake, stopping at viewpoints for photos. Climb up to Bled Castle for even better views and to visit the museum inside. The castle also has a restaurant where you can dine with panoramic views over the lake. But here's a local tip. While everyone crowds around Lake Bled, just 20 minutes away is Lake Behinj, which is larger, quieter, and equally beautiful. Bhinj is located within Triglav National Park and has a much more peaceful atmosphere. The Savika waterfall nearby cascades to 150 feet down a limestone gorge. The lake is perfect for swimming, kayaking, or simply relaxing on the shore without the crowds that flock to Bled. In winter, Vogel Ski Resort offers skiing with spectacular views over the lake. The capital, Ljubljana, is one of Europe's most charming small capitals. The Old Town, largely designed by the famous architect Jos Plesnik, is traffic-free and centered around the Ljubljana River. Dragon Bridge, decorated with iconic dragon statues that symbolize the city, connects the old and new towns. The Triple Bridge is actually 3 pedestrian bridges side by side, creating this unique architectural statement. Ljubljana Castle, reached by funicular, offers views over the terracotta rooftops, green hills, and the river winding through the city. What makes Ljubljana special is its livability. The city has about 300,000 people, small enough to feel manageable but large enough to have culture, nightlife, and good restaurants. The Central Market, held every morning, sells fresh produce, local honey, cheese, and crafts. Riverside cafes and restaurants have outdoor seating along the water. In summer, the Ljubljana Festival brings concerts and performances to squares and parks throughout the city. Metelkova, a former military barracks turned alternative culture center, is covered in colorful murals and hosts underground clubs and art spaces. The food scene in Ljubljana punches above the city's size. Slovenia has earned several Michelin stars in recent years, with restaurants like Heizer Franco becoming internationally recognized. But you don't need fine dining to eat well. Traditional Slovenian cuisine is hearty and delicious. Try Kronska klobasa, a sausage protected by European Union geographical indication. Samples lakrofi, dumplings filled with potato, onion, and herbs. Taste patika, a rolled cake with walnut or tarragon filling, traditionally served at celebrations. And don't miss strukelji, rolled dumplings that come in both savory and sweet versions. Slovenia is also a serious wine country, though few people outside Central Europe know it. The wine regions of Podravia, Pasovia, and Primorska produce excellent wines from both international grapes and indigenous varieties. The Gorica Brda region, often called Slovenian Tuscany for its rolling hills and vineyards, produces world-class whites. The Karst region is famous for Teran, a robust red wine, and Persat, a dried ham similar to prosciutto. Wine tours through these regions take you to family wineries where the winemaker personally pours tastings and explains their philosophy, all without the pretension you find in famous wine regions. But Slovenia's greatest treasures are natural. The Koking Caves, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, are among the largest underground canyons in the world. You walk through massive chambers filled with stalactites and stalagmites, cross bridges suspended over underground rivers, and experience the power of nature shaping limestone over millions of years. The tour managed to limit impact and preserve the caves. The Pastena cave is even larger and more visited, with an underground train that takes you deep into the cave system. But the real highlight here is Prajama Castle, built into the mouth of a cave halfway up a cliff face. This 900-year-old castle looks impossible, like something from a fantasy movie. The caves behind the castle provided secret passages, and the castle's most famous resident, a knight named Erasmus, used them to sneak out and resupply during a siege, making the castle seem impossibly well-stocked. The Soza Valley in western Slovenia offers some of Europe's best adventure sports. The Soza River, famous for its brilliant emerald color, is perfect for kayaking, rafting, and canyoning. The valley is surrounded by the Julian Alps, offering hiking and mountain biking. The Great Soza Trail follows the river through gorges, past waterfalls, and over suspension bridges. World War I history buffs will be interested in the Isonzo front, where Italian and Austro-Hungarian forces fought brutal mountain warfare. Museums and walking paths preserve this history. Slovenia's tiny coastline, just 29 miles along the Adriatic Sea, is worth visiting. Piran, a Venetian-influenced town, has narrow medieval streets, a main square that could be in Venice, and a waterfront promenade perfect for sunset strolls. The town is built on a peninsula, so you're surrounded by sea on 3 sides. Climb the bell tower of St. George's Church for panoramic views over the red rooftops and blue Adriatic. Nearby salt pans in Zasavia have been producing sea salt using traditional methods for over 700 years and are now a nature park, where you can see flamingos and other migratory birds. Slovenia is incredibly affordable compared to neighbouring Italy or Austria. A nice dinner costs around €20 per person. Hotels range from 50 to €90 depending on location and quality. Many Slovenians speak excellent English. The country is extremely safe with very low crime rates. Public transportation is good, but renting a car gives you freedom to explore. Distances are short. You can drive from Ljubljana to the coast in about an hour, to Lake Bled in 40 minutes, meaning you can base yourself somewhere and day trip easily. What I love about Slovenia is that it offers diversity in a compact package. You can hike in the Alps in the morning, visit a medieval castle in the afternoon, and have dinner by the Adriatic Sea in the evening. You can experience nature, culture, history, food, and wine all without driving for hours or spending a fortune. It's a country that respects its environment, preserves its traditions, but still offers modern amenities and comfort. Slovenia in 2025 is perfect for travelers who want the beauty of Switzerland or Austria without the crowds and costs. For people who care about sustainability and ecotourism. For food and wine lovers who want to discover something new. And for anyone who wants to experience a country that still feels authentic and unspoiled. Now let's travel across the Atlantic to South America for number 4. A country that's undergone an incredible transformation over the past decades. A place that was once considered dangerous to visit, but has emerged as one of the most exciting destinations on the continent. We're going to Colombia, a country of incredible diversity, from Caribbean beaches to Andean mountains to Amazon rainforest, with friendly people, delicious coffee, vibrant cities, and a tourism scene that's booming but not yet overcrowded. Colombia's transformation is remarkable. 20 years ago, the country was dealing with violence related to drug cartels and internal conflict. Most travelers avoided it entirely. But Colombia has changed dramatically. Major cities are now safe. Tourism infrastructure has improved enormously. And the Colombian people, who always had warmth and pride in their culture, are excited to welcome visitors and show that their country is so much more than the negative stereotypes from the past. Let's start on the Caribbean coast with Cartagena, Colombia's most famous tourist destination, but still far less crowded than Caribbean hotspots like Cancun or Punta Cana. Cartagena's walled old town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, is absolutely stunning. Colonial buildings painted in bright yellows, oranges, and blues line cobblestone streets. Bougainvillea spills over balconies. Church domes and bell towers rise above the rooftops. Horse-drawn carriages clip-clop through squares where street vendors sell fresh fruit. The city walls, built by the Spanish in the 16th century to protect against pirates, still encircle the old town. You can walk along the top of the walls at sunset, watching the sun sink into the Caribbean Sea while the city lights begin to twinkle below. Inside the walls, the Plaza de Santo Domingo is the heart of social life, surrounded by restaurants and bars. The Palace of the Inquisition, now a museum, provides insight into the dark side of colonial history with exhibits on the Spanish Inquisition's activities in South America. But Cartagena is more than just the old town. Getsemani, the neighborhood just outside the walls, has exploded as the city's hipster district. Streets are covered in colorful street art and murals. Small hostels, boutique hotels, cafes, and bars have opened in restored colonial houses. At night, locals gather in plazas to dance, play music, and socialize. The vibe is much more authentic than the sometimes touristy old town. From Cartagena, you can take a boat to the Rosario Islands, a small archipelago about an hour offshore. The water here is impossibly clear. Coral reefs are around the island, making it perfect for snorkeling. Day trips from Cartagena cost around €50, including boat transport, lunch, and snorkeling equipment. Or visit Playa Blanca on Isla Bar, a white sand beach with turquoise water and plenty of fresh seafood restaurants serving the day's catch. Now let's head inland to Medellin, Pablo Escobar's former stronghold that has transformed itself into one of South America's most innovative cities. Medellin sits in a valley, surrounded by mountains, earning it the nickname City of Eternal Spring for its perfect year-round climate.
What makes Medellin remarkable is how it's addressed inequality and violence through urban planning and public transportation. The Metro Cable, a cable car system, connects hillside neighborhoods to the metro system below. What was once a commute that took hours now takes minutes, and the views riding above the city are spectacular. The cable car continues to Park Arv, a nature reserve perfect for hiking with panoramic views over the city and valley. Escalators built into one steep hillside neighborhood, Comuna 13, have transformed accessibility. This neighborhood, once one of the most dangerous in the world, is now covered in bright murals telling stories of transformation and hope. Walking tours led by local residents explain the neighborhood's history and show the incredible street art. Plaza Botero in central Medellin has 23 sculptures by Fernando Botero, Colombia's most famous artist known for his rotund figures. The nearby Museum of Antioquia houses more Botero works along with other Colombian art. El Poblado, the upscale neighborhood, has transformed into a dining and nightlife hub with rooftop bars, international restaurants, and trendy cafes. Park Lares is the center of nightlife with clubs and bars staying open until dawn. But Medellin is also a base for adventure. The nearby town of Guadap, about 2 hours away, is Instagram famous for its colorful buildings decorated with bas-relief panels called zócalos depicting animals, people, and shapes. More impressive is the El Peel Rock, a massive granite monolith rising 700 feet above the surrounding landscape. Climb the 740 stairs zigzagging up the rock face and you're rewarded with panoramic views over a series of interconnected lakes and islands created by a hydroelectric dam. The landscape, with its intricate coastline and emerald water, is unlike anything else. Coffee lovers need to visit Colombia's Coffee Triangle, the regions of Caldas, Risaralda, and Quito, where the world's best coffee is grown. The landscape here is stunning, with green mountains covered in coffee plants, palm trees, and cloud forests. Stay at a working coffee finca or farm where you can participate in the coffee process, from picking cherries to roasting beans to cupping the final product. These tours are educational, hands-on, and usually include meals made with produce from the farm. Salento is the main tourist town in the Coffee Triangle, a colorful village with rainbow-painted houses and a main square surrounded by craft shops and restaurants. From Salento, you can visit the Cocora Valley, home to the world's tallest palm trees. The wax palms here grow up to 200 feet tall, towering over the cloud forest. Hiking trails wind through the valley, crossing rivers on wooden bridges, passing through forests, and emerging into valleys where these impossibly tall palms stand like giants.
For something completely different, head to Colombia's Amazon region. Leticia, on the border with Brazil and Peru, is the gateway to the Colombian Amazon. From here, you can visit indigenous communities, go wildlife spotting for pink-rivered dolphins, monkeys, and caimans, navigate tributaries in dugout canoes, and sleep in jungle lodges to the sounds of the rainforest at night. It's authentic Amazon experience without the tourist crowds you find in Brazil's Manaus. Colombian food is diverse and delicious. Every region has its specialties. Try bandeja paisa, the massive platter from the Medellin region with beans, rice, meat, chorizo, fried egg, arepa, and plantain. Sample ajiaco, a hearty chicken and potato soup from Bogotá. Taste fresh arepas, cornmeal cakes that accompany every meal. Try empanadas filled with meat or cheese. Don't miss fresh tropical fruits like lulo, guanabana, and maracuya. And of course, drink the coffee. Colombian coffee is justifiably world famous, and having it fresh at the source is an entirely different experience than what you get at home. Colombia is very affordable. A nice dinner costs around 12 to 15 euros per person. Street food like empanadas cost less than €1. Hotels in Cartagena and Medellin range from 30 to 80 euros depending on quality and location. Domestic flights between cities are cheap, usually 50 to 100 euros. You can travel comfortably on 40 euros per day, including accommodation. The Colombian people are what make this country special. Colombians are warm, friendly, and proud of their country's transformation. They want visitors to see the real Colombia, not the stereotypes from movies and TV shows. English isn't as widely spoken as in some countries, so learning basic Spanish helps, but people are patient and helpful. Safety has improved dramatically, though like any country, you should use common sense, avoid showing off expensive items, and be aware of your surroundings. Colombia in 2025 offers incredible diversity. Caribbean beaches, colonial cities, modern metropolises, coffee farms, mountains, rainforests, all in one country. It's affordable, it's beautiful, and it's exciting. While everyone else is going to Peru for Machu Picchu or Brazil for Rio, Colombia offers just as much without being overrun by tourists. Now, let's travel to Central Asia for number 3, a region most people know nothing about, but that offers some of the most spectacular architecture and history you'll find anywhere on Earth. We're going to Uzbekistan, a country on the ancient Silk Road, where Islamic architecture reaches heights of beauty that will leave you speechless. This is a destination for history lovers, photography enthusiasts, and anyone who wants to experience something completely different from typical tourist destinations.
I'm Eva. Uzbekistan was the heart of the Silk Road, the network of trade routes connecting China to Europe. Cities here grew wealthy as stopping points for caravans carrying silk, spices, and other goods. That wealth translated into spectacular buildings, mosques, madrasas, and mausoleums covered in intricate tilework in shades of blue, turquoise, green, and gold. These structures, dating back to the 14th and 15th centuries, have survived wars, earthquakes, and time itself. Let's start with Samarkand, Uzbekistan's most famous city and one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in Central Asia. The Registan, Samarkand's main square, is without exaggeration one of the most beautiful architectural ensembles in the world. 3 madrasas, or Islamic schools, surround the square, each covered floor to ceiling in colorful tilework depicting geometric patterns, calligraphy, and floral designs. The tilework is so intricate, so detailed, that you can stare at it for hours and keep discovering new patterns. The Ulubeg Madrasa, built in 1420, has a portal decorated with stars reflecting the builder's passion for astronomy. The Sherdor Madrasa features controversial images of lions and suns with faces, unusual in Islamic art which typically avoids depicting living creatures. The Tilyakori Madrasa has a mosque with a dome interior completely covered in gold leaf. Standing in the Registan at sunset, when the light turns the tiles golden and the crowds have thinned, is a travel moment you'll remember forever. But Samarkand has so much more. The Shah Izinda, an acropolis on a hillside, is a street of mausoleums, each more beautiful than the last. You walk through a corridor of blue tilework, each building representing different periods and styles, but all covered in stunning ceramic decoration. The Guri Amir Mausoleum is where Timur, also known as Tamerlane, the great conqueror who made Samarkand his capital, is buried. The ribbed dome, covered in blue tiles, is iconic. The Bibi Khanum Mosque was once one of the largest mosques in the Islamic world, built by Timur in the late 14th century. Though damaged by earthquakes, it has been partially restored and gives a sense of the massive scale of Timurid architecture. Nearby, the Saya Bazaar is a working market where locals shop for fresh produce, spices, dried fruits, and flatbreads baked in traditional tandoor ovens. Walking through the market, with vendors calling out, the smell of spices in the air, and piles of colorful fruits and vegetables, you feel the living connection to Silk Road trade culture. From Samarkand, travel to Bukhara, another Silk Road jewel. Bukhara's old town is a living museum. Over 140 architectural monuments, most dating from the Middle Ages, are preserved here. The Ark of Bukhara, a massive fortress, served as the residence of Bukhara's rulers for over 1,000 years. Climbing to the top offers views over the old city's domes and minarets. The Kalon Minaret, built in 1127, stands 150 feet tall. It's called the Tower of Death because criminals were once executed by being thrown from the top. Genghis Khan, who destroyed most of the city, spared this minaret because he was awed by its beauty. The adjacent Kalon Mosque is one of Central Asia's largest, with a courtyard that can hold 12,000 worshippers. The turquoise dome catches the light beautifully, and the intricate brickwork and tilework demonstrate the skill of medieval craftsmen. Walk through Bukhara's covered bazaars, the trading domes where merchants have sold goods for centuries. The Toki Zargaran, or Jeweler's Dome, the Toki Telpak Furushan, or Hat Seller's Dome, and the Toki Sarafan, or Money Changer's Dome, are all still functioning markets. You can buy traditional textiles, ceramics, miniature paintings, and jewelry. Unlike tourist markets in famous cities where everything is made in China, these are often genuine local crafts. The Liabai House, a plaza built around a reflecting pool, is the social heart of Bukhara. Mulberry trees provide shade. Tea houses surround the pool where you can sit on traditional raised platforms, sip green tea, and watch local life. In the evening, the pool reflects the illuminated madrasas on either side, creating magical mirror images. Just outside Bukhara, the Bahauddin Naqshband complex is one of Central Asia's most important pilgrimage sites, dedicated to the founder of the Naqshbandi Sufi order. The peaceful gardens, mosques, and Khanqa, or Sufi lodging house, offer insight into Islamic mysticism. The complex is active, with pilgrims and worshippers visiting, giving it a living spiritual atmosphere rather than feeling like a museum. Then there's Khiva, the most intact medieval city in Central Asia. The inner town, Ichan Kala, is surrounded by brick walls and feels like stepping directly into the past. The entire inner city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, open-air museum of Islamic architecture. The Kulta Minor minaret, covered in turquoise tiles, was supposed to be the tallest minaret in the Islamic world but was never completed. The Juma Mosque has 213 wooden columns, each carved differently, supporting the roof. Some columns date back to the 10th century, salvaged from earlier buildings.
Amiva. Climb the Islam Khoja minaret for panoramic views over Khiva's domes, courtyards, and the surrounding desert. The Tash Holy Palace, or Stone Courtyard, was the residence of Khiva's khans with reception halls, a harem, and courtyards decorated with majolica tiles. Walking through the narrow streets of Ichan Kala, especially early morning or late afternoon when tour groups have left, you can almost imagine yourself in medieval Central Asia. Uzbekistan's newest attraction is the Fergana Valley in the east, a fertile agricultural region surrounded by mountains. The valley is less visited, but offers authentic experiences. Marjalan is the center of silk production, where you can visit workshops to see silk being produced using traditional methods. Rishtan is famous for ceramics, with artisans creating beautiful blue-glazed pottery using techniques passed down through generations. Kokand has impressive palaces and mosques from when it was the capital of the Kokand Khanate. The capital, Tashkent, is more Soviet than Silk Road, having been largely rebuilt after a massive earthquake in 1966. But it has its charms. The Korsu Bazaar, housed under a massive blue dome, is a sensory overload of spices, dried fruits, nuts, and fresh produce. The Tashkent Metro, built during Soviet times, has stations decorated like palaces with chandeliers, marble, and mosaics. It's one of the most beautiful metro systems in the world. The city also has museums, parks, and modern restaurants offering both traditional and contemporary cuisine. Uzbek cuisine is hearty and flavorful. Plov, the national dish, is rice cooked with meat, carrots, onions, and spices in a large cauldron. Every region has its own plov recipe, and locals are passionate about whose version is best. Samsa are baked pastries filled with meat or pumpkin. Lagman is ham-pulled noodles with meat and vegetables in a savory broth. Shoshlik is grilled meat skewers. Manti are steamed dumplings. And bread, particularly nol, flat bread baked in tandoor ovens and stamped with decorative patterns, accompanies every meal. Don't leave without trying fresh melons from the Fergana Valley, considered some of the best in the world. Tea culture is central to Uzbek hospitality. Green tea is served constantly, in homes, in restaurants, at bazaars. The ritual of tea drinking, pouring from a teapot into small cups, is a social activity. Chaykhanas, traditional tea houses, are where men gather to drink tea, play chess, and socialize. Uzbekistan has made significant efforts to attract tourists in recent years. The visa process has been simplified, with many nationalities now receiving visa-free entry. Hotels range from budget guest houses to boutique properties in restored historic buildings. Prices are very reasonable. A nice dinner costs around €10. Hotels in Samarkand or Bukhara cost €30 to €60. Transportation between cities is cheap, with fast trains connecting major destinations. The Uzbek people are incredibly hospitable. Central Asian hospitality means guests are treated with great respect. Locals will often invite travelers for tea or meals. English is not widely spoken outside tourist areas and major hotels, but people are helpful and patient. Learning a few words of Uzbek or Russian goes a long way in showing respect and connecting with locals. What makes Uzbekistan special is the architecture. The tilework, the domes, the madrasas, and mausoleums are unlike anything in Europe or even the Middle East. This is Islamic architecture at its peak, from a time when Samarkand and Bukhara were among the greatest cities in the world. Standing in the Registan or walking through Khiva's old town, you're seeing artistic achievements that rival the Sistine Chapel or the Taj Mahal, but with a fraction of the crowds. Uzbekistan in 2025 is perfect for travelers who want to experience history, architecture, and culture in a place that feels genuinely exotic and undiscovered. While everyone else is visiting Morocco or Turkey for Islamic architecture, Uzbekistan offers more spectacular examples with far fewer tourists. Now let's travel to southern Africa for number 2, a country of otherworldly landscapes, incredible wildlife, and vast empty spaces where you can drive 4 hours without seeing another person. We're going to Namibia, one of Africa's most stunning and underrated countries. If you want safari experiences without the crowds and prices of Kenya or Tanzania, if you want landscapes that look like they're from another planet, if you want adventure and solitude, Namibia is calling you. Namibia is big. It's about the size of Texas and Montana combined, but has a population of only 2.5 million people. This means space. Lots of space. Open roads stretching to the horizon. Deserts, canyons, coastlines, and wildlife reserves where you might be the only visitor. The country is safe, politically stable, and has excellent infrastructure for self-drive travel. English is widely spoken, a legacy of British administration, and the diversity of landscapes and experiences is extraordinary. Let's start with Namibia's most famous attraction, the Namib Desert, one of the oldest deserts in the world. The section around Sossusvlei is what puts Namibia on the map for photographers and adventurers. Here, massive sand dunes, some of the tallest in the world, glow in shades of orange and red. The most famous is Dune 45, named for its distance 45 kilometers from the park entrance. But the real star is Big Daddy, the tallest dune at over 1,000 feet. The experience of climbing Big Daddy in the early morning is unforgettable. You start before sunrise when the air is cool. As the sun rises, the dunes transform, one side glowing bright orange in the sunlight while the other remains in deep purple shadow. The climb is challenging, taking about an hour, with each step forward resulting in a half-step slide backward in the soft sand. But reaching the top, seeing the rippled sand patterns stretching in every direction, the vast salt pan of Deadvlei below, and the endless desert horizon, makes every difficult step worth it. Deadvlei, which means dead marsh, is a white clay pan surrounded by red dunes. Scattered across the pan are the blackened skeletons of camel thorn trees that died 600 to 700 years ago when the Tsorka River changed course. The trees, preserved by the dry climate, stand in stark contrast to the white pan and red dunes. The scene is surreal, almost artificial looking, like a carefully composed photograph. And indeed, it's one of the most photographed places in Africa. But Namibia has so much more than Sossusvlei. Drive north to Etosha National Park, one of Africa's great wildlife reserves. Etosha is centered around a massive salt pan, so large it can be seen from space. The pan is mostly dry, a white expanse that shimmers in the heat, but surrounding it are grasslands, forests, and waterholes that attract incredible concentrations of wildlife. The beauty of Etosha is that you can self-drive. You don't need expensive guided safaris. Rent a car, book accommodation at one of the camps inside the park, and explore at your own pace. Drive the roads that circle the pan, stopping at waterholes to watch elephants, giraffes, zebras, springboks, and if you're lucky, predators like lions, leopards, and cheetahs. The waterholes, both natural and artificial, are where the action happens. Animals must drink, so patient observers can watch dozens of species interact at these crucial water sources. Evening at the camps is special. Many have floodlit waterholes where you can sit and watch animals come to drink after dark. Seeing a black rhino emerge from the darkness to drink while you sit comfortably with a cold beer is an incredible experience. The camps also offer night drives with experienced guides who can spot nocturnal animals using spotlights. For something completely different, head to the Skeleton Coast, one of the most remote and atmospheric places on Earth. This is Namibia's Atlantic coastline, where the cold Benguela Current creates fog banks, treacherous waters, and a coastline littered with shipwrecks. The Skeleton Coast National Park is a harsh environment where the desert meets the ocean. Sand dunes roll directly into the surf. Seal colonies inhabit rocky outcrops, and the remains of ships that ran aground poke through the sand and waves, rusting metal skeletons giving the coast its name.
I'm Ava. The isolation and emptiness of the Skeleton Coast is haunting. You can drive for hours seeing nothing but sand, rocks, and ocean. The landscape feels primordial, as if humans never existed. The few lodges here are incredibly remote, accessible only by small plane. The experience of staying in this wilderness, hearing the ocean and seals, but seeing no other signs of civilization, is profound. In the south, Fish River Canyon is Africa's largest canyon and the second largest in the world after the Grand Canyon. The canyon is nearly 100 miles long and up to 18 miles wide, with the Fish River winding through the bottom. The views from the rim are spectacular, with layered rock formations in shades of brown, orange, and red plunging down to the river. For serious hikers, the Fish River Canyon Trail is a 5-day, 53-mile trek through the canyon bottom, considered one of Africa's top hikes. Namibia also has a fascinating German colonial history. The coastal town of Swakopmund looks like it belongs on the Baltic Sea rather than the African Atlantic coast. German-style buildings, cafes serving apple strudel and German beer, and German street names give it a surreal European atmosphere. Swakopmund is also the adventure capital of Namibia, offering sandboarding on the dunes, quad biking, skydiving, and scenic flights over the desert and Skeleton Coast. Nearby, Walvis Bay is home to a massive flamingo colony. Thousands of flamingos gather in the lagoon, creating this pink mass that stretches across the water. Boat trips take you among the flamingos, pelicans, and seals. The contrast between the harsh desert landscape and this abundance of coastal wildlife is striking. For cultural experiences, visit the Himba people in the north. The Himba are semi-nomadic pastoralists who maintain their traditional lifestyle. Himba women are known for covering their skin and hair with a mixture of ochre, butter, and herbs that gives them a distinctive reddish appearance. Visiting a Himba village, always with a guide and with the community's permission, offers insight into a way of life that has changed little over centuries. The experience should be approached with respect and cultural sensitivity, understanding that this is people's real lives, not a performance. Namibian cuisine reflects the country's mix of African and European influences. Game meat is common, with oryx, kudu, and ostrich appearing on many menus. Biltong is dried, spiced meat similar to jerky, a popular snack. Potjikos is a stew cooked slowly in a cast iron pot over fire. And braai, the southern African term for barbecue, is a social institution. German influences appear in the excellent bread, pastries, and beer.
Accommodation in Namibia ranges from budget camping to luxury lodges. Camping is popular and practical, with excellent campsites throughout the country. Many have facilities for cooking and are located in spectacular settings. Mid-range lodges and guest houses cost 60 to 120 euros. Luxury safari lodges can be expensive, but offer exceptional experiences. Food and fuel are reasonably priced. The biggest cost is often the rental car, as you'll need a sturdy vehicle, preferably four-wheel drive, to reach some destinations. Self-driving in Namibia is the best way to experience the country. Distances are vast, but roads, even gravel roads, are generally in good condition. You can drive 4 hours without seeing another vehicle. This solitude, this sense of being truly remote, is increasingly rare in our connected world. Navigation is straightforward, and the sense of freedom driving through these epic landscapes is intoxicating. Namibia in 2025 offers something increasingly precious: space and wilderness. While safari-goers crowd into Kenya's Masai Mara or Tanzania's Serengeti, Namibia offers equally incredible wildlife experiences with a fraction of the visitors. While photographers flock to Iceland or Patagonia for dramatic landscapes, Namibia offers surreal desert scenery without the crowds. This is a destination for adventurous travelers who want to explore at their own pace and experience Africa's wild beauty without the tourist infrastructure found in more famous destinations. And finally, number 1 on our list of most underrated countries to visit in 2025. A country of over 7,000 islands with some of the friendliest people on earth, stunning beaches, incredible diving, and prices that'll make you want to stay forever. We're going to the Philippines, a Southeast Asian gem that's often overlooked in favor of Thailand, Vietnam, or Indonesia, but that offers everything those countries do and more. The Philippines is unique in Southeast Asia. It's the only majority Christian country in the region, a legacy of Spanish colonization. Filipinos speak excellent English, making it one of the easiest Asian countries for English-speaking travelers. The culture blends Asian, Spanish, and American influences into something distinctly Filipino. And with 7,400 islands spread across an archipelago, the diversity of landscapes and experiences is staggering. Let's start with what the Philippines is famous for: beaches and islands. Palawan, in the western Philippines, is consistently ranked among the world's best islands. El Nido, on northern Palawan, is surrounded by dramatic limestone cliffs rising from turquoise water. Island hopping tour take you to hidden lagoons, secret beaches, and snorkeling spots where you swim among colorful fish and coral. The Big Lagoon and Small Lagoon, accessible only by kayak or small boat, are surrounded by sheer cliffs covered in jungle.
I'm Ava, paddling through these calm waters. The cliffs towering above you is surreal. The Bikut archipelago around El Nido has 45 islands and islets, each more beautiful than the last. Secret Beach is accessed by swimming through a narrow opening in the rocks, emerging into a hidden cove surrounded by cliffs. Shimizu Island has coral gardens perfect for snorkeling. Seven Commandos Beach has powdery white sand and swaying palms. Island hopping tours, which visit 4 or 5 spots, cost around €25 including lunch and equipment. South of El Nido is Coron, famous for world-class wreck diving. Coron Bay has numerous Japanese shipwrecks from World War II, now encrusted with coral and teeming with marine life. Even if you're not a diver, you can snorkel some shallower wrecks. Coron also has stunning lakes. Kayangan Lake, accessed by climbing stairs up a cliff, is surrounded by limestone formations and has incredibly clear water. Barracuda Lake has thermoclines where you pass through layers of water at dramatically different temperatures while diving. But Palawan's crown jewel is the Puerto Princesa subterranean river, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This underground river flows for over 5 miles through a cave system beneath limestone karst mountains before emptying into the sea. Boat tours take you into the cave where you see incredible rock formations, including a chamber so large it could fit a cathedral. Stalactites, stalagmites, and rock formations that resemble vegetables, animals, and other shapes fill the cave. The experience of paddling through this underground world is otherworldly. Now let's talk about Siargao, the Philippines' surf capital. This teardrop-shaped island in the eastern Philippines has become famous for Cloud 9, one of Asia's best surf breaks. The wave breaks over a shallow reef, creating perfect barrels that attract surfers from around the world. Even if you don't surf, Siargao has an incredible laid-back island vibe. The main town, General Luna, has beach bars, restaurants, and a young international crowd. Motorbike is the main transport, and riding through coconut plantations and small villages to reach hidden beaches is part of the adventure. Surgao's lagoons and rock pools are stunning. Sugba Lagoon, surrounded by mangroves and limestone cliffs, has crystal clear water perfect for swimming and paddleboarding. Magpupunko rock pools are natural tidal pools carved into rock formations. At low tide, the pools fill with clear water, creating these perfect natural infinity pools overlooking the ocean. Watching sunset from the rock pools, cold beer in hand, is paradise. The island also has incredible cave systems. Sohoton Cove features caves, lagoons, and jellyfish sanctuaries. The stingless jellyfish in Sohoton, golden and pulsating in the green water, can be swum with safely, a unique experience.
For something completely different, head to the Banaui rice terraces in northern Luzon. These ancient terraces, carved into the mountains by the Ifugo people over 2,000 years ago, are often called the eighth wonder of the world. The terraces cascade down the mountainsides in perfect tiers, following the natural contours. During rice growing season, they're bright green. After harvest, they're golden. The engineering achievement creating these terraces without modern tools is extraordinary. The town of Batad has some of the most spectacular terraces, arranged in an amphitheater shape. The hike into Batad, about an hour through terraces and villages, rewards you with incredible views. You can hire local guides to trek through the terraces, visit villages, and swim in Tapia Falls, a waterfall that plunges into a pool surrounded by jungle. Staying overnight in Batad, in simple guest houses with the sound of water flowing through the terraces and chickens wandering the village, offers a glimpse into traditional mountain life. The Philippines also has incredible diving. Tabataha Reefs Natural Park, accessible only by liveaboard dive boats from Puerto Princesa, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the world's best dive sites. The reefs here are pristine, with incredible coral coverage and marine life including sharks, manta rays, turtles, and countless fish species. Closer to major islands, Apo Island off Negros is famous for its turtle population. Snorkeling here almost guarantees encounters with green sea turtles feeding on seagrass or resting on the reef. Molbol, on Cebu Island, has the famous sardine run, where massive schools of sardines, millions of fish moving as one, create a living tornado in the water. Swimming through the school as it parts and reforms around you is an incredible experience. The nearby Pescador Island has dramatic drop-offs and abundant marine life. The Philippine cities offer culture and history. Manila, the capital, has Intramuros, the old walled city from the Spanish colonial period. Fort Santiago, where the national hero José Rizal was imprisoned, San Agustin Church with its Baroque architecture, and Casa Manila showing colonial-era life, are all within the walls. Manila's modern side includes shopping malls that are among the largest in the world, vibrant nightlife in the Makati and Bonifacio global city districts, and a food scene that blends Filipino, Chinese, Spanish, and American influences. Cebu City, the Philippines' second city, is older than Manila and has equally interesting history. Magellan's Cross, marking where Ferdinand Magellan planted a cross upon arriving in 1521, and Basilica del Santo Niño, the oldest Roman Catholic church in the Philippines, are important historical and religious sites. But Cebu is also a modern city with malls, restaurants, and a jumping-off point for island adventures.
Filipino food is underrated and delicious. Adobo, meat marinated and cooked in binaga, soy sauce, and garlic, is the national dish with countless regional variations. Sinigang is a sour soup with tamarind, vegetables, and pork or shrimp. Lechon, whole roasted pig with crispy skin, is served at celebrations. Halo Halo, a dessert of shaved ice with evaporated milk, sweet beans, fruits, and ice cream, is perfect for hot days. Fresh seafood is everywhere and incredibly cheap. Mango, grown abundantly, is some of the sweetest in the world. The Philippines is very affordable. A nice seafood dinner on the beach costs 10 to 15 euros. Budget accommodation like hostels or guest houses cost 8 to 15 euros. Mid-range hotels cost 30 to 50 euros. Island hopping tour are 20 to 30 euros. Domestic flights between islands are cheap, often 30 to 60 euros. You can travel comfortably on 30 euros per day, including accommodation. What makes the Philippines special is the people. Filipinos are genuinely warm and friendly. Hospitality is part of the culture. Locals will strike up conversations, offer help without being asked, and often invite travelers to family gatherings. The phrase Filipino hospitality is famous throughout Southeast Asia. This warmth makes solo travel easy and safe. Women travelers consistently report feeling comfortable and secure in the Philippines. The Philippines does have some challenges. Infrastructure in some areas isn't as developed as Thailand or Vietnam. Some boat schedules are unreliable. Typhoon season from June to November can disrupt travel plans. But these minor inconveniences are far outweighed by the incredible experiences, natural beauty, and genuine warmth you'll encounter. The Philippines in 2025 is perfect for beach lovers, divers, surfers, and adventure seekers. For people who want Southeast Asian culture and nature without the crowds of Thailand or Bali. For travelers who value friendly interactions and authentic experiences. For anyone who wants to island hop through paradise without spending a fortune. So there you have it. 7 of the most underrated countries to visit in 2025. From Albania's pristine beaches and Ottoman architecture to Georgia's mountain villages and wine culture. From Slovenia's green landscapes and Art Nouveau cities to Colombia's Caribbean coast and coffee farms. From Uzbekistan's Silk Road architecture to Namibia's otherworldly deserts and wildlife. And finally to the Philippines' 7,000 islands of beaches, terraces, and welcoming smiles. These countries prove that the best travel experiences don't always happen in the most famous destinations. Sometimes the most memorable trips, the ones that change your perspective and create stories you'll tell for years, happen in places you'd never heard of before you started planning. These are countries where tourism is welcome, but hasn't overwhelmed local culture. Where your money goes further. Where you can have incredible experiences without fighting through crowds or standing in endless lines. But here's the important thing. These countries won't stay underrated forever. Albania is already appearing on more travel lists. The Philippines is growing in popularity. Colombia's transformation has been noticed. Slovenia is being discovered. In 5 years, some of these destinations might be as crowded and expensive as today's hotspots. Right now, in 2025, you have a window of opportunity to visit these places while they're still relatively undiscovered. So here's my challenge. Stop planning the same trip everyone else is taking. Stop following the Instagram crowds to Santorini, Bali, and Iceland. Take a chance on something different. Pick one of these 7 countries. Start researching. Look at photos. Read blogs. Watch videos. Check flight prices. You'll be surprised how accessible and affordable these destinations are. And when you go, you won't be just another tourist checking off famous landmarks. You'll be an explorer discovering something genuine and sharing meaningful experiences with local people in places that still feel authentic. Travel should challenge you, inspire you, and broaden your perspective. It should take you out of your comfort zone and show you different ways of living, thinking, and being. These 7 underrated countries offer all of that. They offer beauty without pretension, adventure without crowds, and cultural exchanges that feel real, rather than performed for tourists. The world is vast and diverse, and endlessly interesting. The most famous destinations are famous for good reasons, but they represent only a tiny fraction of what's out there waiting to be discovered. Beyond Paris and Rome and Tokyo and New York, there are thousands of incredible places filled with welcoming people, stunning landscapes, fascinating history, and delicious food. Places where your visit makes a positive difference because tourism supports local communities without overwhelming them. So close this video. Open a new browser tab. Start planning your journey to one of these underrated countries. Whether you choose the Art Nouveau streets and beaches of Albania, the mountain monasteries and wine cellars of Georgia, the green forests and caves of Slovenia, the colonial cities and Caribbean beaches of Colombia, the Silk Road splendor of Uzbekistan, the desert dunes and wildlife of Namibia, or the 7,000 islands of the Philippines, you're choosing adventure, authenticity, and discovery. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world's most underrated destinations. If this video inspired you to explore beyond the usual tourist trail, let me know in the comments which country surprised you most and which one you're adding to your bucket list. Have you visited any of these countries? Share your experiences and tips. Do you know other underrated destinations that deserve more attention? Tell us about them. The travel community thrives when we share knowledge and inspire each other to explore more deeply and thoughtfully. Remember, the best trips aren't always to the most famous places. Sometimes the most incredible experiences happen in countries you'd never consider, in conversations with people whose names don't appear in any guidebook, in moments of beauty that exist far from Instagram's trending locations. The world is waiting. Not the world of tour buses and selfie sticks and overpriced tourist traps. The real world. The world of genuine human connection, natural wonder, and cultural richness that exists everywhere if you're willing to look beyond the obvious choices. Safe travels, adventurous souls. May your journeys take you to places that challenge your assumptions, expand your understanding, and remind you why travel is one of life's greatest teachers. The world is so much bigger, more beautiful, and more interesting than the travel brochures suggest. Go find your own underrated paradise. Thank you for watching.